In June of 2025, a handful of American bombers lifted off from a single base in Missouri, flew for more than 30 hours without landing, halfway around the world and back, and in one night struck targets buried deep beneath a mountain on the far side of the planet. Almost no one saw them arrive. No one saw them leave. They were flying the most expensive, most secretive aircraft ever built, a $2 billion ghost called the B-2 Spirit, and only about 20 of them exist. Look at the B-2 once and you never forget it. It has no tail, no fuselage to speak of. It is almost nothing but a single, smooth wing, a black manta ray gliding through the sky, more like a UFO than a warplane. That shape is not for style. Every curve of it exists to do one thing: make a 70-ton bomber disappear. The B-2 is the purest flying wing ever put into service, and it looks like nothing else humans have ever flown. Because the entire point of the B-2 is to not be seen. Its shape, its skin, and its radar-absorbing coatings are engineered to swallow radar waves instead of bouncing them back. A bomber the size of a commercial airliner can cross defended airspace, showing up on enemy screens, if it shows up at all, as something closer to a bird. It slips through the most heavily guarded skies on Earth, and the first sign it was ever there is the target already gone. That invisibility came at a price unlike anything before it. The B-2 is the most expensive aircraft ever built. Counting the decades of research behind it, each one cost roughly $2 billion, which means, pound for pound, the B-2 is worth several times its own weight in solid gold. No aircraft in history has ever been that costly. When people say a machine is worth its weight in gold, they are usually exaggerating. With the B-2, they are underselling it. And because of that staggering cost, almost none were ever made. Only 21 B-2s were ever built, and after accidents over the years, fewer than that still fly today. That makes it one of the rarest combat aircraft on the planet. Each one is essentially hand-built and irreplaceable. There is no factory standing by to make more. Every B-2 even carries its own name, like a ship. Losing a single one erases a real slice of America's entire bomber force. What you get for that price is reach nothing else can match. The B-2 flies from one base, Whiteman, in the middle of Missouri, and from there it can strike almost any spot on Earth. With a few mid-air refuelings, it can cross oceans and continents, deliver its bombs on the far side of the world, and fly all the way home without ever landing on foreign soil. No forward base, no one's permission needed, just a shadow that can reach anyone, anywhere. That kind of reach means missions that push the limits of the human body. B-2 crews routinely fly for 30, 40, sometimes more than 40 hours at a stretch. Behind the two seats, there is just enough room to lie down, to heat up food, to steal a few minutes of sleep while the other pilot flies. Two people sealed inside a flying wing, awake for the better part of 2 days, carrying some of the most powerful weapons ever built. And the B-2 carries a lot. In its two internal bays, it can haul tens of thousands of pounds of bombs, nuclear or conventional, all tucked inside so nothing spoils its stealth. It is one of the only aircraft cleared to carry America's most fearsome bunker buster, a 30,000-pound monster designed to punch through dozens of feet of rock and concrete before it ever detonates. A single B-2 can carry two of them. Almost nothing else on Earth can carry even one. Which brings us back to that night in 2025. In an operation called Midnight Hammer, a small fleet of B-2s flew one of the longest combat missions in the aircraft's history, well over 30 hours in the air, to strike Iran's most deeply buried nuclear sites. They dropped those massive bunker busters onto targets dug into a mountain, then turned around and flew all the way home. It was the largest operational strike the B-2 had ever carried out, and the world barely saw it happen. That is exactly what the B-2 was built for. The first night of a war against the toughest defenses on Earth. When an enemy's radar and missiles are fully awake and waiting, the B-2 is the aircraft that goes in first, unseen, and kicks the door down, destroying the very systems meant to stop everything that comes after it. It clears a path through the dark, and by the time anyone understands what happened, it is already gone. But keeping a ghost invisible is brutally hard work. The B-2's radar-absorbing skin is delicate, sensitive to rain, to heat to humidity, so each aircraft needs its own climate-controlled hangar just to sit still. For most of its life, a $2 billion bomber lives indoors, pampered like a priceless work of art, wheeled out only when it is time to fly. The very stealth that makes it deadly is also fragile, and protecting it never, ever stops. Just like its stealth cousins among the fighters, the B-2 pays a constant tax for being invisible. After flights, its special coatings must be inspected and restored, inch by teams of specialists. Every hour it spends in the sky is bought with many hours of painstaking work on the ground. Stealth is not a feature you build in once and forget. It is a fight the crews at Whiteman fight every single day, quietly, just to keep the ghost a ghost. And here's the strange truth about the B-2. Most of its power comes from the wars it prevents. For decades, it has sat as a silent promise that America can reach any target anywhere on the planet whenever it chooses, and there is very little an enemy can do to stop it. That single certainty changes how other nations behave. The most powerful thing the B-2 carries isn't a bomb. It is the knowledge in every capital on Earth that it could already be overhead. For all its technology, the B-2 still comes down to two human beings, a pilot and a mission commander strapped into a black wing, sometimes the only two people awake for thousands of miles, trusted with weapons that could reshape history. They train for years just to fly it. They spend endless hours alone in the dark, over open ocean, on missions most of the world will never know took place. It may be the loneliest cockpit in the entire military. The B-2 was born in total secrecy. For years in the 1980s, it was one of America's deepest black projects, its very shape a classified secret. When it was finally rolled out in 1988, the public was allowed to see it only from the front, so its full flying wing form stayed hidden a little longer. It first flew in 1989, a machine from the future, dropped into the final years of the Cold War. It was built to fight the Soviet Union, to slip through the thickest air defenses ever created and deliver a nuclear blow. But when the Cold War suddenly ended, that staggering price tag became almost impossible to justify. A planned fleet of more than 130 bombers was cut again and again, until just 21 were ever finished. America had built the most capable bomber in history, and then decided it could only afford a handful of them. That tiny number makes every single B-2 precious in a way few weapons ever are. When one crashed on takeoff in Guam in 2008, it wasn't just a lost aircraft. It was a permanent, unrecoverable dent in the entire fleet. There are no spares waiting in a warehouse. Each B-2 lost is gone for good, and with it a real fraction of America's ability to strike from the shadows. A mere handful of jets carry an enormous share of the mission. After more than 30 years, the Ghost is finally getting an heir. A new stealth bomber, the B-21 Raider, is already flying, designed to do everything the B-2 does, only better, cheaper, and in far greater numbers. One day it will take over the watch. But until then, the B-2 remains the only aircraft of its kind in the world. The lone stealth bomber standing guard, still the strangest and most secretive shape in the sky. Because for all the decades and all the billions, the B-2 still does something almost nothing else can. It combines true stealth, global reach, and a devastating payload in one single airframe. The ability to make a heavily defended target on the other side of the world simply vanish overnight with no warning at all. Until its successor fully arrives, that job belongs to a tiny fleet of aging black wings, and to the crews brave enough to fly them. Decades of secrecy, tens of billions of dollars, and one enormous bet that the future of air power belonged not to speed or size, but to being unseen. The B-2 spirit is that bet made real. A flying wing so advanced it still looks like science fiction, so expensive that only a handful were ever built, and so quiet that its enemies often learn it was ever there only when it is already long gone. So here is the question worth sitting with. For most of history, power in the sky meant being the loudest, the fastest, the most obvious force in the air. The B-2 flipped that idea completely. Its greatest strength is that you never see it at all. Is the future of war something we watch unfold, or something that is already over before we even know it began? This is Eyes on Ops. Subscribe, and we'll decode the next one.